We are rolling. We're not live, as Ken is probably going to talk to us about here several times through the course of this interview. But I'm joined today by Ken Walls of many different accolades and achievements. He's a best-selling author, multiple business owner. He goes live. He was just saying off air, he's gone live up to 7 times, I think, in a day. But Ken and I connected through Brian Hess, who's been on the show before. I started watching Ken's stuff and I was like, this guy's a story that needs to be told. So we are jumping into this episode of the Blue Crocus Experience, and we're just going to chat. So Ken, if you want to give yourself a little introduction as well, and then we'll just roll.
Dude, you just did.
I love it. And I really appreciate.
Yeah.
I appreciate you jumping on, because I know we rescheduled a couple times and all of that. So
yeah, it's all good, man. I'm glad to be here.
So talk to us about why I should be streaming this live. No, I'm kind of kidding to jump in quite like that, but going live is kind of your thing, is it not?
Well, I mean, it's not my thing, dude. I'm we talked a little bit about Grant Cardone, and Grant's a buddy of mine, and he hasn't always been a buddy of mine. I've only known him for about 6 years, and when I was in Miami, I was in his office, and he coached me for several hours, and I've hung out with him beyond that as well. And look, there's no better as far as, I mean, let me ask you a question. Why do you even do a podcast? What's the purpose?
I do it to connect with people. Is the main reason. It's a way to give you some exposure, to connect you with some people, and any of the guests, to people that they may not have been connected to before. But it's also a way for me to learn stuff from people, learn
Sure.
from business owners, learn from people who have made mistakes that I can see reflected in myself. But I know that was a leading question.
Ultimately, would you let's say that you turn this into a Joe Rogan type situation, and somebody offered you $100 million to move your podcast over to their platform, would you say yes?
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
So podcasting and doing all this stuff is for what? It's to get attention.
Yeah.
To get more attention, to get more potential customers or clients, or get, that's what it's about. Well, live streaming, when it comes to social media, which is where podcasts are promoted quite often, right? Like when you go out and you promote this, you're going to send me a link, I'm assuming, and you'll ask me to share it on my Facebook pages. Well, I have 76,000 fans on my fan page, 5,000 friends on my personal page, 15,000 followers on Instagram. So I've got all of this stuff going on. And if I promote this out, you're going to get a lot of attention. Yes, it will help me too, but it's going to help you a lot as well.
For
If
sure.
Grant Cardone goes out and promotes you to his 6 million followers on Facebook, and he's got, I don't even know how many millions of followers with everything combined, well, that's going to get you a lot of attention as well. So attention is the new currency. The more attention, money follows attention. Grant talks about that all the time. So when you are doing a podcast, why wouldn't you do it live? Why not? I mean, if you were doing this live on your Facebook pages and your YouTube channel and Twitter and Periscope and LinkedIn and all of the different platforms that are available for live streaming, well, I could share that out to all of my tens of thousands. Well, it's 100 and some odd thousand followers overall, and that would get you more attention, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you should be live streaming this, because right now all you're doing is putting it out there into a gigantic ocean of podcasts in hopes that maybe somebody will listen to it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So if you're live streaming, dude, and the algorithms with all of the platforms, Facebook included, they like live streams more than they like any other kind of post.
Gotcha. Well, this is Lewis learning here. Why don't we just shut this down and go live then?
You'd need a different platform besides Zoom,
I
but
do have
yeah,
StreamYard, which I believe I used your affiliate link.
there you go. Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
StreamYard, have you used it?
I used it to go live on Facebook. I haven't gone live on any of
Yeah.
the other platforms with
So
it.
you connect all your platforms to it, Periscope, which is Twitter. You connect everything to StreamYard, and then at the end of an interview, you after you end it, you can go up and download the MP3 file and drop it. I literally within I don't do it because I'm busy, but I could end an interview, download the MP3, drag it over to my podcast platform, and have it on every podcast platform in the world within about an hour
Wow. Wow.
of ending the live stream. So that is that's the benefit. You reach a lot more people. That's the benefit, reaching a lot more people. For example, if you were taking my course, you would know all of these things and you would not ever use Zoom again to do another podcast interview. Again, there are people that well, I just want to focus on podcasting. I understand. Go live and focus on podcasting with the MP3 file later.
Right. Right.
MP3 meaning the audio file.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
There you go. Well, I will warn everyone listening. If we don't hop off and go live, Ken is going to be talking about it the whole time.
No, we don't have to hop off here and go live. No, we're already rolling. Let's do it, man.
No,
We're
I
good.
know, I know.
But in the future, I look. If how many friends do you have on Facebook, Lewis?
I think I'm at around 2,500.
Okay, so you have 2,500 people that are not hearing us right now, and I have 80,000 on Facebook
Right.
that are not hearing us.
Right.
They're not going to, and they won't click on the, I mean, I don't ever listen to podcasts ever. And I have one with 300 and some episodes on it. I don't listen ever to them. Why? Because I can't stand it. I'd rather watch a video. I'm visual. I like to see who's being interviewed and see their reactions. And it's not the same for me with listening to a podcast. There are people that, oh, that's all I do is listen to podcasts, and that's cool. But what about the other big, ginormous percentage of people that don't listen to podcasts,
Right.
that would rather see a video? So,
Wait.
It just gives you more exposure. That's all.
You're painting a really vivid picture here, and since we're on right now recording, it feels like the more you talk, it feels like we're in this tiny little bubble, and we're like talking, around the corner to each other.
Yeah.
So,
I get it's true though, man. And yeah.
Yeah, so I talk to a lot of business owners in like the contracting space, right? And I go live fairly regularly, but they're much shorter episodes, and it's usually just me on it, right? So that feels, that obviously took a level of discomfort for me to get to. I think my first live video was sometime in February of this year, and it like the sweat, your armpits are sweating, right?
Yeah.
And so when I talk to contractors, I can relate to where they are, but it's very rare that they feel comfortable enough to go live. And so maybe, I mean, you kind of painted a pretty graphic picture there just now, but talk to us about how, that can help small businesses.
I mean, it for me, I mean, think about this. We've talked about Brian Hess, and Brian Hess is a good friend of mine. I've been to his house. I know his wife and kids, and like he's a good friend. And Brian owns a very, very large company now. It's huge.
Yep.
And how do you think Brian and I know each other? Where do you think we met?
I would imagine through some sort of mastermind or something.
No, it was through a Facebook Live.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if it was him on mine or me on his, but Brian goes live and he has a show, and it's a live show, and he turned that live show into a podcast. Exactly what I'm talking about. Guess who taught him all that?
The man on the screen, Ken Walls.
Well, but see, and Brian took his company from being just a small paving company to now they're a national multi-million-dollar huge company. So, he did it by getting himself out there, getting known, doing what Grant Cardone told me to do. And that is, you have to manufacture your own celebrity. You have to manufacture your own celebrity. When you go live, I don't care if you're a paving contractor. I don't care if you're a plumber. Like, you go live and you show the world your authenticity. Now, if you're full of crap or you're somebody that nobody would like, then you probably shouldn't go live. You should keep flying under the radar. But at the end of the day, and people aren't going to like hearing me say that. I know there's people that are going to be like, wow, what a jerk. But I'm not being a jerk. I'm saying, like, you own a business for one reason, and that's to expand, right? If
Right.
you own a business, your goals need to be around expansion. And if you're not doing everything in your power and your capabilities to expand, well, you need to take a look at that. The number one way, and I always ask people this, and I'll ask you this: pretend like you're a contractor and you own a paving company,
Yeah.
and I call or I called you up and I said, hey, what are the local? Do you have ABC, NBC, and CBS up there in Canada?
We don't, but I'm familiar with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say that you were in Milwaukee, and where you do have ABC, CBS, Fox, and all the major networks. And I called you and I said, hey, dude, I'm with all the major networks, and we got together and we said, let's pick Lewis, and today, let's just offer him this, and we're going to give you the ability to run ads, video ads on our networks, all of them, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We're going to just give it to you. You don't have to pay us. It's free. We're just going to let you run ads and promote your business, or whatever you'd like to promote on there. It's free all the time. All you have to do is send in the ads. Would you say no?
No, that would be ridiculous.
Right. You'd say, of course, right?
Yeah.
And yet, Facebook, if it was a country, would be the largest country in the world. In the world. And Facebook is 10 times bigger than, if more than all of those local networks combined. And people aren't using it. They're not using it. Not just, I mean, yeah, it's cool to put a picture up or whatever, but it's not the same. It's cool to even have a video that's been edited and you got the cool explosions and the dynamite music going on in the background. That's awesome. But unconsciously, we all know that you've paid somebody or you've edited the video yourself. And although it may be a cool video, there's one thing that it's missing, and that is this right here, this authenticity of being live. If you're live, you can't hide that. If you're live, your customers or potential customers can be on the live stream and they can see what kind of a person you are. You can't remove the authenticity factor. It's
Right.
there, right?
Right.
It's going to be there. So there's a huge benefit to doing live streaming. And that's why I'm known as the live streaming king. I've done over 2,500 live streams.
It's wild. That's wild. Yeah, and I mean, anybody who isn't connected to Ken, like every day you're going live, at least once a day, if not, twice or thrice or more.
Well, and I don't just go live and go, hey, man, check out my Apple Pencil. Isn't that cool? Like, people go live and they don't even have a freaking plan. And that's, look, I'm in the new book. Jeffrey Gitomer, who wrote the Little Red Book of Selling, is
Yeah.
one of my best friends in the world. The Little Red Book of Selling is the number one best-selling sales book on planet Earth. And Jeffrey called me up and said, hey, my publisher wants me to do this new book, and I would like you to write one of the opening chapters of the book. And I'm like, really? Like, I'm already a best-selling author with my book, but this is on a whole different level. Jeffrey is a 4 times New York Times best-selling author. He holds the world record for spending 103 consecutive weeks on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. And now I'm in a book that Jeffrey, and it'll be on the New York Times bestseller list. I know it will. All of his books go there. Typically they hit it at some point.
Yeah.
So, I'm a co-author, a contributing author with a New York Times best-selling author, man. That's crazy.
That
That's
is crazy.
insane.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I see you and Jeffrey on there all the time. Well, you're always
Yeah.
commenting, and he goes live. Is he still doing his daily live?
Yep. Every
Yeah,
morning. Yep.
yeah.
9:59 a.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. No, that's huge. And so basically, you're leading to the point of, and this is clicking. Some of it's clicking now, and some of it has clicked before. So I'm kind of summarizing, I guess, what I'm picking up. But being involved with people who have an audience is extremely important. So as a business owner, and I'll keep trying to relate it back to business owners, but I'm also
Sure.
taking away points for myself. You can you can show people that authenticity, but you can also bring on people, local community members, whether it be realtors or referral partners or
Yep.
city council if you want. Preferably someone that people generally like. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people that
Yeah.
that you wouldn't want to bring on, but
Yeah. I mean, if I was a dentist, I would find other dentists around the country and bring them on and have dental talk. Like, hey, let's talk about why dental gum disease causes heart attacks. Let's, talk about, how to do dental implants or, whatever. Like I would do stuff like, no, not everybody's going to listen to you talk about dental implants, dude.
right.
Okay. But you're going to get a certain percentage of people that watch it. And here's the cool part, man. You can go in and take your videos and run video view ads on Facebook on your, on your business page and get even more. There's some videos that some interviews I've done that have gotten over 100,000 views on Facebook,
Wow.
you know, and by me just going in and spending a little bit of money, not much, a little bit of money, and boosting it out. And dude, it's what did I say a little bit ago? Attention is the new currency. Like, if you're a business owner, what are your options for getting new clients? Your options are traditional advertising, which just doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it just like, hey, I'm going to put an ad in the newspaper. What?
Yeah.
Like, so that doesn't work. You can go to Google and spend a ton of money on Google ads. It's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
Or you can do Facebook ads, which can be very inexpensive if they're done right. And you can do organic posts on social media. What else? Knock on doors, get referrals, right? So let's say that I have a customer that's my number one referring customer. Do you think there would be any benefit to me having them come on and interview them on a show just to talk about their business? Of course there would be.
Yeah.
Huge
Absolutely.
benefit.
Yeah.
There'd be a huge benefit. Why? Hey, Lewis, I want you to come on my show and talk about your business. Okay. Wow, really? I mean, you've had Grant Cardone on and Andy Frisella on, and I've had some power hitters on my show. So when I have somebody come on, like, dude, there's a good chance you're going to get known on my show.
Right.
Now,
Right.
that's not how it started. Day one wasn't like I did, Break Through Walls is the name of my show. Day one isn't like, it was like, who's this guy? I mean, I had some followers and stuff, but I didn't have a show.
Can we?
So
Yeah, I love that you went there. Can we start there and talk about, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's so, like they look at themselves and then they look at me or you. Obviously there's big gaps in between those two things, but um, what was it like starting day one, and what decision did you make? Are you just in love with the process?
no, dude, I was, first I had already been live many times. But I like, I was scared, man. I gotta turn off notifications on my phone. It's driving me crazy. So I was scared. I was scared. I'm. It's real, and the fear is real, and that's something I talk about in my course, is overcoming that fear, having a plan. But the very first time I went live, I didn't have an intro video, I didn't have an outro video, I didn't have StreamYard, I didn't have anything, except for I used Ecamm, I think, and Skype, and that was Jeffrey Gittimer's wife was my very first guest.
I love it.
And yeah, she's a celebrity, these are celebrities. And I'm like, God, can't believe I'm getting ready to interview Jen Gittimer. Like, that's crazy. What are
That's
you
how I felt
doing?
before you jumped on, Ken.
Nah, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
dude. It's scary, man. It's
Yeah.
scary. But you know what? Honestly, kudos to you for doing it, man. That's huge. And anybody, I don't care what, like you said that your audience is primarily what? Business owners, contractors.
I would say, yeah, it's not a huge audience, to be perfectly honest with you. To everyone who's listening, thank you. I appreciate, people send me messages and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, business owners, contractors that I've connected with mostly on Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every single one of them, if they want more business, which why would you have a business and not want more business? The only way to get more business is to get the attention of the people that are not currently doing business with you,
Right.
right?
Right.
So again, referrals work. That's good. But how do you know how much stronger you can make your referral partners just by inviting them on a live stream and having them talk about their business? I'll give you a perfect example of why I know this works. um, there's a movie called Miracle on 34th Street. You ever seen it?
I don't think I have.
It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. And in the movie, there's this Santa Claus that sits in this department store where kids come up and all of that. Um, and they didn't have one of the toys that the mom was looking for or something, and the Santa Claus said, no worries, go down to Gimbel's department store down the street, they have plenty in stock, you'll find it there, we're just all sold out here. And the manager of the store flipped out, man. Like, what are you doing sending our customers somewhere else? Are you out of your freaking mind? You're sending our customers to our competitors. And he said, oh, it'll all work out. And he was very jolly, as Santa Claus should be.
Right.
And in the end, it created so much goodwill that the streets were, there was a line going around the building waiting to get in to do business with that particular store. So, when you come on and you say, and I go, maybe I want Lewis to do business with me. And I go, hey, dude, I'm going to have you on my show. I'd love to have you as a guest. Come on, talk about what you do and how you make money and et cetera, et cetera. And then you come on and I sit there and make the entire interview about you, and I edify you and I build you up to my audience, and people start following you. And then maybe one out of 20 does business with you. I don't know. It could be even
Right.
higher than that, right? I've
Right.
had authors on, Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's the co-creator. He's a good friend of mine.
Wow.
The dude holds the world record. He sold over 600 million books. And the Bible's the only book that sold more books than him and Jack Canfield with Chicken Soup.
That's awesome.
And yet I've helped Mark get on podcasts. I've helped Mark and his wife sell their new book. I've had them on Amazon Live because I'm authorized to go live on Amazon as
Saw
well.
that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do things to help people. And if you live from that place, and I teach all of this again, if you live from the place of, I'm here to help and help people grow and become better and bigger and expand their business and their influence, then you win in the end.
This is exactly why I wanted to have you on. Because I quickly looked up the movie. I have watched the movie, and as you were telling the story, yeah. But I'm glad you kind of laid the story out in that, because every time I jump on one of your lives, that's what you're doing. You're talking about giving, and I think sharing was one. Like you were saying, share out people's live videos, share out what they're doing,
Yeah.
because and I think you gave an example on one of your lives where you had done that and you got connected with some people. I'm sure there's many stories,
Yeah.
but that's so huge and such a good reminder for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of just popping back up here, and I just wrote down as we were talking to a couple people who are customers and who are referral partners, and I just never thought of them as someone to have on the show, but it just clicked with me. That's huge.
Yeah. It should. And again, how is it going to hurt you to flow power? Grant says it all the time, flow power to power.
Right.
Well, if I'm, look, we can say, oh, everybody's equal. Everybody, we're all, let's hold hands and sing kumbaya. We're all equal. Well, that's just not the case, man. We're not equal. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of getting to Grant's level or I'm not capable of getting to his level, but like, we're not equal. And people that say that they've given up on their own goals, man. If you think that you're equal to Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins or whoever, Mark Cuban, or like, they've reached levels I've not reached.
Right.
I'd like
Right.
to get there. So I look at them as, okay, I know that maybe they're not on a pedestal, but I look at them as, man, they're doing better at something than I am. So maybe I should try to figure out a way on how I can flow power up to them and help them expand whatever it is they want to expand. So once I figured that out, like, all I have to do is figure out how to flow power to other people. And then, dude, it's right here. This is Zig Ziglar's little book of big quotes. And when you open up the front cover, the front flap,
Yeah.
on my green screen's messing up, but I'm going to read you the very first quote that's in this book. It's on the front flap of this book.
I got to get that book.
It says, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. That is Zig Ziglar's most famous quote. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And when you start, and this is where I've lived this for many, many, many years, dude. And once you get that, wow, you can literally have anything you want if you just help other people get to where they want to get to. You can have anything and everything you want. And so, dude, I'm telling you, man, that's what I do. That's the entire premise of my show, Break Through Walls. I have people come on and tell their stories of how they hit a wall, they couldn't get through it, their car got repoed, they couldn't pay their electric bill, they couldn't pay the rent or mortgage, and they lost a house, or this happened or that happened. They come on and they go, and then I just kept going, I figured how to do this, and then bam, it took off, and now I make $1 trillion a year, or what, what I mean. Like they come on, and that gets people fired up, man. People love that.
I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. I read a book called The Go-Giver earlier this.
Bob Berg is a friend of mine.
Amazing,
He's
amazing. Of
been on
course
my
he is,
show.
Ken.
He's been on my show, and I'm friends with John David Mann, the co-author of The Go Giver.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I was going to say is that basically when I started my business, it's bootstrapping, it's hustling, right? And so there's this, every time you see a competitor come into the market, or kind of head after the clientele that I was looking after, there'd be this like wrench in my gut, this like kick in my gut, and I hated it. And I was recommended by one of my mentors to read The Go-Giver, and you embody that
Yep.
whole way of living, and I can say that confidently because I've been on enough of your live shows to know it's not just one or two times you've said it, but
Yeah.
that is a huge mental shift, and it's still something I'm working on. But to hear you say it again, it just drives it home so well.
Dude, the Bob, first off, Bob is one of the nicest people on the planet. Like,
Wow.
Bob Berg is amazing. And that book rocked my world. It really did. And I'm like, cause that's, I was like that, like, until I read that book, and it's been 5-6 years ago. I was like, okay, I live this to a degree
Yeah.
sometimes, right?
Yep.
And once I realized that, man, all I have to do is live this all the time, and life can be magical. If you live it all the time, life is magical. And again, I don't mean to keep bringing up my course thing, but I teach this in my course, all of this stuff. I teach the magic behind getting giant names like Bob Berg on your show or Ken Walls on your show. I'm just
Exactly.
kidding. I'm
Exactly.
kidding. But yeah. Go
Can I,
ahead. Sorry.
and I'll be asking you for all these links as well. So anybody who's listening or watching this on YouTube, or live the next time we do this,
Yeah.
I'll drop all the links to your course down below, and we'll be talking off air as well.
Yeah.
So Ken, tell me, were you always like you said, you've been doing this for a while, and I know I've heard some of your story on some of your lives. I regrettably can't hop on every single one of them because I
Yeah.
have to also be
Yeah.
giving of myself and
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
clients and stuff. But what what made this happen? Like, where did all of this start? You said you've been going live for a while, but is there a pinpoint that you can point to?
Um, yes, there is. It was 6 years ago, 2014. Um, and I mean, I dominated Columbus, Ohio, as far as like website development. I've done website development for 26 years. And I've been in technology and marketing for most of those years. But um, about 6 years ago, I hired a new kid working for me that was in sales, and he had just gotten out of the Marine Corps, so he had zero experience. And another mutual friend of ours asked me if I would hire him, and I'm like, "What's his experience?" And he's like, "Oh, he was in the Marines." And I'm like, "As what?" And he's like, "A sniper, I think." And I go, "Well, dude, I don't need anybody killed. What the heck am I going to hire him for? Like what?" And so I interviewed this kid, and he had great energy, and so I hired him. And I said, "Well, let me find some sales training. You're green, dude. Let me find some sales training on YouTube or something to put you through." And I came across Grant Cardone's videos on YouTube, and I'm like, "Who in the heck is Grant Cardone?" I didn't even know who he was. I was brought up on Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and all these amazing people. And so I look into Grant, and I find out he's got a university, it's a training platform, and I bought it $36,000 for the contract I signed with Grant's people. And it changed this kid's life, literally changed his life. He doesn't work for me anymore, but he became the number one motorcycle salesperson in the entire state of Ohio. And so, and he
Wow.
attributes it all to Grant's training.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's where I became friends with Grant. And I saw Grant going live on Periscope all the time, and I'm like, I got to go. So I started going live, man, back in 2014. And last year about this time, I was in San Diego. I was invited to be an influencer judge on a panel where we were judging people on their live streams and their videos and different things. And Mark Zuckerberg's sister was one of the keynotes, and she was amazing. Randy Zuckerberg. She invented Facebook Live when she worked at
Really?
Facebook. Yeah,
Wow.
and she
Wow.
was amazing. I was I don't know 20 feet from her, and she walked right by me. I shook her hand. I mean, but her speech was amazing, and she talked in there about the like the opportunities she saw for entrepreneurs and business owners, what she saw coming up over the next few years, and live stream video and podcasting, as well as like voice services on the Amazon devices, which I have one sitting right next to me. I can't say her name or she perks up.
Yeah.
But those devices, which now I can listen, I can tell that thing while I'm taking a shower. I have a speaker in my bathroom, and so I can tell it to play my latest podcast episode, and bam, it does instantly. So, it's like people need to wrap their brains around this technology stuff. It is real, and it's really it's going to continue growing. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
What are your thoughts on TikTok?
I use it every day.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you just
I
do little
I
snippets?
Nah, I mean, I'll take snippets out of my interviews and put it up on TikTok. I'll express political opinion on TikTok.
I've seen you do
Different
that on
things.
Facebook too.
Oh yeah, I ain't scared. I ain't scared. Go Trump. Trump 2020.
People like someone that stands up for something.
I don't. Yeah, man. I'm not. Hey, here's the thing, dude. I've realized, and I wrote about this in the new Jeffrey Gitomer book. Not everybody's going to like you, man. Not everybody's going to love you. And it took me a long time to realize that. I want everybody to like me and love me, man. And the reality is that's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
It's not going
yeah.
to happen. So,
And I
yeah.
mean, not to dive too deep into it, but it's becoming more and more of a thing. And I think that's something that, as business people too, that
Yeah.
putting yourself out live and putting yourself out, even for me like this, people get an idea of who I am and what I'm about, right? And so it's weeding
Yeah.
out some of the people that just wouldn't jive with me or you, right?
Yeah. That's it. And again, it's not, I don't even take it personal anymore, man,
Yeah.
at all. I went through Facebook the other day because, when you're at the 5,000 limit all the time and somebody wants to be friends with you that maybe is a client, a new client or something, then you got to go in and figure out who to delete. So I literally went through all my Facebook friends list and started deleting people, man. I just,
I'm glad we snagged this interview before I got hit the chopping
yeah,
block.
you're next, dude. I'm off you after this. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
saw
don't like it's, yeah. So anyway,
I saw someone who was a coach, and he has like a massive coaching Facebook group, and
yeah.
he was tossing around the idea like, would people pay to be able to raise their friends limit on Facebook? What would
Mm-mm.
you?
No, I got my fan page for that.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
No,
not
that's
worried
fair.
about that.
Well, that
Yeah.
conversation went far.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't. I mean, it's weird that they have. I mean, I get it. Facebook has the friends limit because they realize that if you have 5,000 friends, which is a freaking lot,
Yeah,
that you're probably a business and you should be paying them. So
right.
I get it. That's how they make money,
Yeah,
advertising. I
yeah.
don't
No,
I don't
that's
fault
fair.
them for that.
No, that's fair. So I alluded to this at the beginning about how you were talking about uh, your past and how you kind of started out as an employee, hated it. I think the one that I hopped on, you were talking, I forget the guy's name, but he was talking about how, or you were talking, sorry, about how you basically just told a guy to shove it
Yeah.
and walked out of the office. But can you take us back to Ken Wall's pre going live, pre your internet business? Because it wasn't a pretty picture from what you were painting on that live stream.
Well, I've done, I've tried being an employee at several different companies over the years, but I mean, I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for most of my adult life in one form or another. And what's happened is it's when I start to give up on my dreams, or I hit a snag or whatever, it used to be my default was, well, then I'll just go get a job. And I've learned that's a really, really, really bad idea. So I don't do that anymore. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is because a lot of us who are starting out business owners, we hit snags, and sometimes it's like, well, man, maybe if I had stayed at that job, I could just go with the flow and do my own thing on the weekends and evenings, right?
Yeah.
Um, but there's a whole lot. Talk about how you feel about that now, about
I
it.
mean, I look, there's still times when I hit snags. There's times when I'm, but I mean, I'm not programmed to work for somebody else. I'm not, Grant Cardone asked me, he's like, bro, why aren't you in Miami working for me? And I'm like, because I'm like the worst employee in the world, dude. I can't work for you. Like, you'd hate me. We'd hate each other after one day. Like, I'd
Right.
be like, no. I'd love to partner with you. I'll help you in any way I can. I know. And he said, I had him on a live stream about a month ago with me one evening, and he said it at the end. He's like, well, Ken, I love you and your family, man. Anything I can ever do for you. And but I would be, it would ruin our relationship if I tried to go be his employee, because I'm not a good employee. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people that I mean, there's people that make great employees. I've had many of them. Um, I'm just not one of them, and I
Right.
can't see myself ever doing that. Ugh,
Just
no,
doesn't work for you. Yeah, and
no,
I
no.
think I was talking to my wife, to Alyssa the other day about it. It's like every day that goes by, You know, as there are ups and downs, there are roller coasters. I'm a year and a half into my business,
Yeah.
and you know, we're still working out the kinks. I'm bringing on people and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's tough, right? And right now, you know, she's sacrificing on the family side so that I can work and make this happen. But I said, you know, my mental state is so much better because I would come home regularly after a job and say, you know, Melissa, this is terrible. You know, the vision of the company is terrible. And other days I'd be really high and like, this is incredible. You know, I can help this
Yeah.
company so much. And it's just this wrenching and pulling. Whereas now, I don't know if it's partly the fact that, you know, everything that happens in my business is ultimately my responsibility. So there is less of a, you know, a back and forth that way, but it's incredible. You know, the responsibility and the excitement
Yeah.
to be kind of steering your own ship, and the scariness as well.
Well, you know, once you get over there, you know, there used to be this point in my business where I was scared all the time of whether or not I was going to make it.
Right.
And then I realized that, you know, I'm attracting some really bad stuff into my business and my life by living in fear. So I stopped being afraid, and I made the decision that I'm going to start writing my goals down every day. I made the decision 17 years ago to start meditating every single morning. I made a decision years ago to start really focusing on positive affirmations excuse me, in my life. And so that I live like that today. Now you know, it's like the Bob Proctor thing where he says, if you repeat this one affirmation over and over and over and over and over out loud and to yourself and everything that you're doing, it can literally change your financial life forever. And
Right.
that is, I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis. If you say that to yourself thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times out loud, guess what will happen for you eventually?
You're gonna start seeing those yellow cars after you buy the yellow car.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's like money comes to me. I just got a notification. Money just came literally just now. I just got paid by somebody. Like
Nice.
it happens all the time, every single day. Things go well for me. My buddy Glenn Morshower, the famous actor from the TV show 24 and Black Hawk Down, everything else, is, you know, he teaches that, and I agree. Like if you live in a state of things go well for me all the time, things go well for me. I'm grateful and happy all the time. Well, yeah, that's easy to say when things are going well for you, but what about when shit hits the fan? Oh, sorry, am I allowed to say that on here?
Oh,
But
it's
what,
all
you
right.
know, like what about that? You know, when things aren't going well, they're still going well. You're alive, man. You got a
Right.
chance to change it. Like, and I can promise you this: you're never gonna change it if you're living in a state of everything's bad. It's not going to change. It's just going to keep getting worse. So once we learn how to find that place of gratitude, gratitude and fear can't coexist in the same thought. It's not possible. So when I'm living in a state of gratitude and I'm excited and happy that money is coming to me in increasing quantities from multiple places on a continuous basis, man, it does. It is.
So you say 17 years. That's huge, and I've heard those things, and I'll be honest, I've started them and gone a few weeks, and then it kind of just tapers off, and I get busy. So what happened 17 years ago to make that? I'm assuming you're still doing that today.
Every day I'll be late for a meeting before I miss meditation in the morning.
Really?
Yep. First thing I do every morning
Do
for at
you
least
have
an
an
hour.
app that you follow, or is it a self-guided?
No, I just, dude, just sit in silence. I listen to real soft meditation music with noise canceling headphones or earbuds. My AirPods Pro or noise canceling.
Yeah.
And I sit in silence and focus on breathing, and that's it. That's it. I look, I've been sober. I quit drinking 18 years ago. And I've been sober ever since then. About a year into sobriety, I started hearing about meditation and calming yourself and finding your groove and finding joy and peace and happiness and all this. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And man, I've been doing it every day since then. And it's something. And at first it was like, this is weird. What in the world? What am I doing? I'm just sitting here like all Indian style, like, and doing what? Well, what I've learned is this, and I wrote about this in my first book. Um, and the chapter is called Look Within, Look Inside, or something like, I forget the name of the chapter. Look Inside, I believe. And it's a story that it's an old Hindu story about the gods one day got tired of giving humans this amazing gift, that was free of charge. The gift is having the ability to have the answer to any question you could possibly ever have about life, your life, anything. It was a free gift the gods used to give away. Well, they got tired of humans abusing it, primarily by not using it. So they got together and said, hey, let's take it away from them and hide it somewhere where they have to work for it if they want this gift.
Right.
And so one god said, let's put it on the atop the highest mountain in the world, that no, they'll learn how to climb and get it too easy. And well, how about the one says, how about the deepest part of the deepest ocean? And nah, they'll dive down, they'll learn how to get it. No, that'd be too easy. The wisest god of them all spoke up and said, hey, why don't we hide it deep within the humans themselves? They'll never think to look there. And so it continues today. And so I meditate. And why? I'm looking for that gift, man. I want the answers to the challenges that life throws at me. I want the answers to all of this stuff. And if I just go inside, right, whoops, sorry, I go inside right underneath the xiphoid process in the center of my chest, and I know that the answers are there. So I just have to quiet my mind, man. Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote, who's one of the greatest authors of all time, my favorite spiritual teacher. He said that, the magic in music is the space, the silence in between the notes.
Hmm.
And the magic in life, the magical answers, it's the silence in between our thoughts.
Wow.
And it's true.
Wow.
It's true, man. Yeah. I don't teach that in the course.
Blast. Yeah. Is this the book, the pain? I have it written down here. Turning Pain into Profit, Breakthrough Walls.
It's Walls of Wisdom.
Walls of Wisdom. Yeah.
Turning Pain into Profit. Yep.
Where
It's a
can people find that?
number one bestseller.
I'm guessing Amazon.
You can go, Amazon. You can go to kenwalls.com and click on books, and that book and Jeffrey Gitomer's new book that I'm a co-author in, and a couple other books are on there, including my free ebook, the 100 livestreamsecrets.com.
Beautiful.
So,
I'm going to be picking that up after we get off today. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, and I think there was another time where you were talking about the alcoholism. I don't know if you're comfortable. Obviously, you're comfortable talking about it because you're talking about it on the live stream. But talk a bit about that point that you realized. I think you ended up in a bar somewhere, and someone was something happened. I was telling my wife about it after because it just kind of hit me in a different way.
Yeah, I was sitting in a bar like every other night of my life. But I was kind of one of those people that I thought I was all that and a bag of potato chips, as Dr. Evil would say. And I so I'm in a upscale restaurant / bar. And some dude sits down and says, hey, I put in my 2-week notice, man. I'm like, cool. Congratulations. What are you going to do? He's like, what do you mean? I'm coming to work for you. I said, no, you're not. What are you talking about, dude? Like, and he's like, you offered me a job the other night. Told me to put in my 2-week notice. I said, no, I didn't. And he said, yes, you did. And I said, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? He goes, you don't remember that? And I'm like, remember what? Apparently I was drunk, and he thought I was stone cold sober. I must have been in a blackout. And long story short, he got really ticked off, and he said, you know what? you're nothing but a worthless drunk, and everybody around here knows it. Why don't you go get some help?" And he got up and walked out, and I was like, holy crap. And I'm looking around this bar restaurant, wondering if it felt like everybody was looking at me, which they weren't, but it felt like it.
Yeah.
And you know, I went the next night, started going to AA meetings, man, and it changed my life. It took a long time for it to change my life, but eventually it changed my life.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, it just hit me. It hit me because I think, you know, I don't struggle with that addiction, but we all have addictions, right?
Yeah.
We procrastination is a massive addiction. I don't mean to compare it in that way, but it's a big one for me. It's
Sure.
something that I struggle with daily. Like,
You know
just to
what?
be,
You know why?
I don't. I mean, I've figured out little different things, but what are you gonna say?
I can tell you why. You know, I'm a coach, right? I do high level coaching too, but
Yeah.
um, I think that most people that procrastinate, they're doing it out of fear. Fear of, what if I put in the work and it doesn't work out for me? So it all ties back to fear and you know, self-worth. I mean, dude, uh, whatever we're procrastinating, it's typically something we're afraid of. There's some kind of fear in there. There's a great book called A Course in Miracles.
Hmm.
It's huge. It's thicker than the Bible. It's huge, huge, huge. But it's
I just wrote that down.
I'll summarize this book. You know, no, I'm not going to summarize the whole book, but this, a part of it says, everything we experience as human beings, everything we experience as human beings can be categorized in under one of two things: love or fear.
Wow.
That's it. Nothing else. Love or fear. That's it. There is
Huh.
nothing else.
Wow.
Once you um once you learn how to truly accept that you are meant for greatness, once you learn that you are truly meant for expansion, you're supposed to be a multimillionaire, you're supposed to be helping thousands, possibly millions of people around the planet. Like, once you accept that, it's a big responsibility.
Hmm.
But you know, most people, they'll put things off because they, something deep inside says, well, if I do this, I mean, it's probably not going to work out anyway, so why put in the work?
I can relate to that on a
Yeah.
huge level.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there
Yeah.
you go, some free coaching.
Well, Ken, I appreciate it. I really do. And I, you know, for everyone listening, this is huge. We're coming up on an hour here. I know you said we could
Yeah.
go all day, but you
I was kidding, I can't.
I know, and I know you've got,
Yeah.
I know you've got things here, and I know that, you know, you'd love to chat with me.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here, and
Yeah.
next time we can go live here. But
Yeah.
is there, if you're, I always like to spring this on guests. If there was one or two things you would tell new business owners, what would they be?
If there was what?
One or two things you would tell someone who had just started a new business.
Oh, don't sit on your ass. Get up, go. I mean, go. I know you're afraid. I get it. Trust me, we all are. We are, like, that's the thing, man. And anybody that says I'm not afraid, I don't get scared of stuff, they'll lie to you about other things too. You
Right.
know, look, go knock on the doors. If you don't have a budget to buy my course or get advertising or whatever, then do the work. Go out and bloody your knuckles and knock on doors. You know, when I started my company, I had just gone through a divorce, and literally had nothing, but I had nothing. I got fired from the job that the ex-wife wanted me to have. I got fired from it because I was a freaking mess over the divorce and stuff. And and I was staying at a buddy's house, a retired doctor friend of mine, and he finally, after 60 days, he comes home one day and he goes, dude, you got to get out of here. I said, yeah, I know. And he's like, no, I mean, you got to move out, get out of my house. Like, I love you, dude, but you got to go. You got to get your shit together. Go get your
Yeah.
own place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Why are you being so rude? I don't even have any money, dude. And he's like, all right, look, here's the last $20 I'm giving you. And handed me a $20 bill. And he said, this is it, dude. You're not getting another penny from me. Here's 20 bucks. Go figure it out. Seriously, you need to go figure it out. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I lost my job. He's like, build websites. You're good at it, dude. Get back into that. Do what you do. Like, go do it. Like, freaking get off your ass. Get out there and make it happen. And he's like, I'm not kidding. You have 2 weeks to be out of my house, and that's it. I'm going to start putting your shit out on the curb.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, why are you being so rude? You're my buddy. But it's the best thing he ever could have done for me, because that day I smoked cigarettes back then, Lewis, and I went out that day and I bought a pack of cigarettes. They were $3. I had $17 left. I put $10 gas in my car. I had $7 left. And I thought, okay, well, it's McDonald's value meal. Here I come. That's the only option. And so I went and I just started knocking on doors, man. And I knocked 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 and I knocked, begging businesses almost to hire me to help you with your website, blah, 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 blah. I finally, at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and I'm thinking, man, we're getting close to 5. There's not going to be, like, what am I going to do? Finally, 3:30 in the afternoon, after knocking on doors, hundreds of no's. I don't even know how many doors I knocked on, but it was a lot. And this guy says, you know what? I do need some. Do you think you could do this and this? And I'm like, I know I can. He's like, all right, I'll tell you what. You make these changes, I'll give you $600. I said, well, you give me half now then. He's like, no problem. I said, I'll be back tomorrow. He's like, you can't get that done in one day. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. I got it all done. I stayed up almost all night working on this. I got it done, got his changes done. He paid me another 300 the next day. I made 600 bucks that first day, but it's because I got off my ass and I went out and I did it. And then I continued doing that until I built it to where I didn't need to do that. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't ever have to knock on doors again, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I've done it thousands of times. I don't, but go, you've got to go, man. Grant Cardone told me one time, I love this saying. He said, you know what? When you're going through hell, stomp on the freaking gas. Get through it as quick as you can. When you're a new startup, when you're a new business, you got to do everything within your power to get attention, man, to let people know who you are.
I love that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I can't top that, and I wouldn't want to. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you rescheduling a couple times to make this happen, and I'm excited. If you have a second, if you don't, we can wrap up. But why don't we end it up and we can chat real quick before we head off? But
thanks for having me on, dude. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you're not following Ken on Facebook or Amazon or LinkedIn or wherever, all the places he can be found, do it. You won't regret it.
KenWalls.com.
KenWalls.com. You can find him. He's pretty easy to find. He's in a lot of places as he preaches. So, Ken, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.